Hey, my name is Barry J. Neely. I'm a film composer, and I'm going to take you through a cue I wrote for the feature film Somewhere Slow. I'm not going to play you the whole cue now. I'm going to play you that at the end of the film, but if you want to see it now, you can skip to this part, and it'll take you there, and you can come back and hear the discussion about it. So Somewhere Slow is a film that came out a while back, and you can find it on Amazon Prime and the Roku channel. Thanks, Roku. So the overall storyline for this movie is Anna is a woman who gets into this kind of trouble and ends up running from her life from her husband. On this journey, she meets a young man by the name of Travis, played by Graham Patrick Martin, and she develops a romance with him, and then eventually has to come back to her life after Travis leaves in the middle of the night. Anna is played by Gisula who is currently on Big Shot on Disney Plus, and she's been on Glee and Vikings and a ton of other stuff. And she is the center of this final moment. She's the center of the whole movie, but she's really the center of this final moment where we actually have to go through all the themes of the movie while she's heading back to her regular life. It starts with the late, great Robert Forrester, who gave me a very sweet compliment at a screening once about the music, and he didn't have to do that. It was just really welcome, so thank you. But we kind of deal with her inner turmoil because we don't have a lot of dialogue. Actually, the one line at the beginning of this scene is really the only line of dialogue. There are sound effects and whatnot, so I definitely leave room for that stuff, but there's not a lot of dialogue. She's about to get on a train, but it's very uncertain feeling.
Take care, Veronica.
So it begins with this C sharp minor. It's played on the guitar, and then as soon as she's about to get on the train, Jeremy O'Keefe, the director, he wanted to instill this feeling of confidence as she gets on the train, that she is able to get back to her old life. It's a very simple piano part. The whole score is very simple. The piano is only played pretty much in the bass clef, and because it doesn't really travel throughout the whole keyboard. If I talk about sharps and flats, the notation on this is not the final score. It's just what MOTU's Digital Performer just kind of had out. So if this is a D flat and I say C sharp, the notation might not reflect that. Anyways, so the piano, it actually goes from C sharp minor to C sharp major. So this transition is just, on the guitar, and the piano brings us into C sharp major just by a simple fifth. But it's a confident power chord, C sharp, G sharp, C sharp on top. And that's kind of what shows the confidence when she gets on the train. Now we get into the C sharp major melody that is, again, pulled from another point in the film where I wanted to sound kind of happy and celebratory. Now that's a very simple cue. All it is piano, and there's just a synth that's just doing a C sharp throughout the whole thing. And then I have introduced these synth drums mixed with the little live drums here. So I've almost traded the delay effect on the guitar to the delay of the drums. But now we're going to have another transition. And this is where, in film music, the general thought process is you write a theme for every main character. I've yet to really do that very directly, because for me, this story was focused around Jessalyn Gilsig's character of Anna. And yes, she has a romance with Travis, and I hint to Travis in many, many ways, but this was actually pointed out to me by the actor at a screening once that strings are his thing. And in this case, it's just a high violin, and you'll hear that kind of played when she has that flashback of him here. Now, this also shows the transition. First, we've gone to uncertainty of if she's going to get on the train, then the confidence of her getting on the train, then the happy memories of what she's just gone through. And then she snaps back into reality by showing up at the train station where her husband, who doesn't know what's happened to her, is picking her up. And we do that musically as well. We have the strings, which is just a G sharp and a C sharp, just the fifth. And they will bring us down to an F sharp, because we're going to go from a C sharp major to an E minor, which isn't necessarily a smooth transition. So I kind of soften that transition by using the F sharp. The strings do the G sharp and C sharp to the F sharp and B. The B and the F sharp allows us to have this chord before we go into the E minor. And I'll play it for you here. I redid this score a couple times, meaning turns out the studio that they rented to do the final mix for the festival run, I had to do it a few days earlier, so I spent all night mixing it one night, which didn't really help. Then, thankfully, they did a remix when it was going to be released on streaming. But then I redid the whole score last year just for the soundtrack, which wasn't on iTunes or Spotify for some reason. So then I just put in the things that I always heard in the score that I didn't think I could get away with. I'm sure the director, Jeremy, would have let me had it because it's so subtle. It's like way back from Def Leppard's Love Bites. It's kind of a fake vocal. But hear it in that transition. Just a fun little thing. So now we're back into reality, and she's at the train station, and there are sounds going on. I just don't have them in this session. So the music didn't need to do much. I also knew that there might be a little bit of dialogue, even though the lines are almost whispered here, and it's not important. Her reactions are what we're focusing on. So the music was focused on her reactions as well. So it's just this very simple. And that's all it is for this next bit of action. That chord progression will continue here. And again, the piano's doing the heavy lifting. The strings and the synth are just kind of doing the harmonic layers. We've introduced live drums, and they're playing a similar rhythm to what the synth drums are playing. So the piano goes into a melody, which is really just kind of a playing of the notes of the chords. Playing it that way is just because we don't know what the husband's gonna say. So it adds a little bit of tension where there's room. The drums stop using the snare. It kind of goes down to a more basic rhythm. Now look at that. Look at that. Look at Jesselyn's face. She's looking at him. What is he going to say? She has been through a lot. He doesn't know what she's gone through. She doesn't know how he's going to react. So like stripping away of that rhythm adds just a little bit of tension to this scene. And she's looking at him, what is he gonna say? And he just picks up her bags and brings them to the car. So we've gone from the whole scene being about Anna to it's almost about her husband. Then he doesn't say anything, so we go right back to Anna. And we get into a little snippet of the guitar melody of the whole film. So there's this guitar melody that plays separately in some of the cues. And then there's this, it's played on the Rhodes, Fender Rhodes and piano that kind of play it together. And that melody will layer on top of the melody I'm about to play. But the melody I'm about to play is cut short because when I originally scored the film, they actually edited it after I had written the cue, and so I have to cut it short a little bit in this, but it actually provided for a much more interesting transition. So the guitar will be playing something that it plays in full later. but here I could only play. And also you have these strings that are kind of bringing this down before this big moment musically and this big moment character-wise. The melody that's about to play here on the Fender Rhodes, it's a melody that I played over a more dangerous part. I made it sound more dangerous earlier. And I don't mean dangerous as in they're going to get killed. I mean dangerous as in it's forbidden. And that's kind of the passion that I kind of wanted to instill in those scenes. But now it's become a more hopeful impact on her life. It's such a great moment. I freaking love it because we see a smile appear on Anna, the character's face, right at the last moment. And that's where the cue builds to its biggest point at her look, but right before the credits. And I'm going to play it one more time for you. So now we're at the credits, and in my composer's mind, that means I can do whatever I want. Of course, it's whatever I want in service of the movie, but that was such a big shift in her thought process that we could see in her eyes, and then the smirk at the very end. And so I came in big with drums, the drums of Adam Hanson. I actually even added storm drums just to make it even bigger. And then I'll bring in the bass for you. So the bass is doing that same rhythm, the dun 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 dun. Now it sounds very aggressive as it is, but you know, then you add in everything else. You add in all the strings. So yeah, this might not be appropriate in the other parts of the film, but I wanted it to be a huge emotional moment, and I wanted the audience to feel, you know, a heightened passion for what this character has gone through and the hopefulness of the future that she has. When I found out about this movie, the producer on it, who I'd worked with, Istvan Christe, he told me that Jeremy was looking for a composer. He was like, write some things. Here's the story. I think he even sent me a couple scenes. So I wrote songs for those scenes just to see if the director would like something, and he loved one of the songs, and it just had this melody which I used throughout the film. It's just a very strong melody. It's not very fluttering, it's not very light and fluffy. It's a very strong melody with strong drums underneath it. So that's maybe why I have all these layers of strings and synth pads going under it. I even have the Rhodes and the piano playing at the exact same time. So here's that ascending guitar melody going along with the melody of the Rhodes and the piano. really wanted to have the melody of the guitar, which I use isolated in other parts, and the melody of the piano come together finally. And they really do come together on these two notes too. They only come together for that brief moment, then they split. When I end the film on a bass chord, because, you know, why not? So there's a string part that I wanted to isolate because it was making the heavy rhythms flow a bit more. And you'll hear that at the end when I play this whole cue, as I'm going to right now.
Take care, Veronica.
And that's it. Best not to follow me when I'm playing along. Most of that I got right, not all of it. It's okay. Anyways, thanks for joining me. That was fun. I was kind of going down memory lane. This was a while back. Watch it on Amazon Prime and the Roku channel. Again, it's called Somewhere Slow, but it's been on the screen the whole time. My name is Barry J. Neely. You can find me here on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, and write on the comments below whatever you want to do. And I'll see you next time.